good afternoon. Good afternoon once again. Here we are, another day, another day's journey with the Black Business Alliance's Journey to Success podcast. And I am your host, Marjorie McAllister. And as I said, I wear many hats at BBA. And today, I am going to serve as the facilitator of the Journey to Success podcast. And we have a wonderful guest with us today, and I'm going to let her do the preliminaries. But before I go there, I just wanted to let you know, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, or perhaps you just never heard about BBA, who is BBA, what is BBA? BBA, or the Black Business Alliance, is a supportive network committed to the success and growth of Black-owned businesses. And we have a few key objectives. I'm not going to name all of them, but the main one is to promote networking opportunities among Black entrepreneurs, business leaders as well, to provide access to resources, training, and mentorship for business development. And here's the part where I really want you to let it stick in your mind. We also advocate for policies that support Black-owned businesses at local and national levels. I bet some of you who knew about BBA before didn't know that part. Yes, we do advocate, because the proof is in the pudding. And for a cake to be a delicious, scrumptious meal, all of the ingredients has to be in that cake. So you see where I'm going. So let me stop and get with the program. So today we have a wonderful guest, as I just mentioned, and her name is Nadine, but I'll let her do the preliminaries. Now, what is your name? Tell the audience your name.
My name is Nadine, Nicola Green, and I love doing what I do.
Okay, so a little bit later we talk about love doing what you do, because we want you to expand on that. So back to that. What do you do, and how long have you been in business?
My business started out in 2022 as a coaching program. So I'm a wellness coach. Okay. And I started that business once I became a published author, and I decided to help coach people in areas of their life, because God specifically told me, coach, help people with doing things well. And it then expanded because I was a psychotherapist at the time. And I was working for someone else under their practice. And specifically, God said, okay, you got your license. You're a licensed clinical social worker. I'm going to eventually have you start your practice. And instruction came, and I started my practice in 2024. And so between the coaching in 2022 and the group practice for psychotherapy and counseling in 2024, I've officially been in business now 4 years, because I started the coaching July of 2022. The psychotherapy started April of 2024.
Wonderful.
And we help people by teaching them how to help themselves. And so it's learning how to advocate for yourself, and we teach people through mindset reconstruction. And it's literally changing our mind and taking on the mind of Christ. Understanding that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and the things we settle for is not ours.
It's so true.
We're supposed to have abundance and prosperity and health and wellness. And so my life's work with my practice and my business is to teach people that, how to get that, how to get back to that, and to change the mindset they see themselves as.
Right. And not to speak of anything religious, because we're not here for that, but it all falls under the same portfolio, because without him, none of what you're doing would be in fruition. So I like the part you said, the mindset reconstruction, and isn't that why he came, for the mindset reconstruction? But I'm going to share away from that a little bit and just go back. You said you are a published author, and it just reminded me that's how we met.
Yes.
We met in Puerto Rico because you and I both went to the Pen for Profit.
Yes, Pen to Profit conference, yes.
And I guess that was the first book you wrote?
That was the first book I wrote.
Right, and so we met in Puerto Rico because I was there on assignment as well. and just started talking. Didn't even know that she was from the state of Connecticut, like I was, and just we became friends.
Absolutely.
And she became a part of the BBA. We introduced you to the BBA, and
Yes.
here you are today. So thank you so much for being obedient. Put it that way.
Thank you,
right?
Marjorie.
You're welcome. See, I'm probably with the stuff again. Yeah, business doing that. So, what made you start the business, Nadine?
I started the business after working for decades. Like my first job, I was 14 or 15. I think I was 15. And so I've made people millions and millions of dollars. I'm a
Really?
very efficient worker. I'm led to do things excellent. And so when I decided after COVID, because I was a nursing home social service director in 2020 when COVID hit, and I saw a lot of our patients and residents die, and I saw families go through a lot. And so in that moment, I was shifting, right? God was shifting me to decide what I was going to do. And I had two options, how I saw it. I'm going to get my administrator's license to continue and be a nursing home administrator. Because I wanted to make a change, a difference. I wanted to make impact in nursing homes for seniors and just disabled people who had to be in nursing homes that weren't necessarily seniors. So that was one option. Get your administrator's license and do it. Stay in the nursing home. Or get your clinical social work license and go that route. Both were important to me, and after COVID, I decided I didn't want to be in a nursing home anymore. I wanted to expand and just make more impact and not be within the confines of being a nursing home worker. And so once I became published, I just thought, I'm already doing therapy for someone else. Eventually, I'm going to have my group practice. And so I did that because I no longer wanted to be restricted in how many people I can help. And I felt if I had my own business, not only am I the boss, but then I can hire, teach, and train people to go out and make the difference that I wanted to make. So I felt like it was the best route to move away from that. Because I could actually still go for the administrator's license and have my own nursing home. Like, I'm not limited anymore. Once I decided to become a business owner, I realized I can do so much more for people when I can not have the restriction of politically correct or needing to be about the money. A lot of things I saw in nursing home was limiting people to being about how much profit you could make off of them, and I didn't want that anymore. They want to be a part of that process.
Okay. Well, as part of the scripture says, your gifts will make room for you, right? And eventually take you before great men too. But one of the questions I was going to ask you, you already answered it in another way, but you took another turn. And the question was there a defining moment when you already knew that this is your path? But you already answered that by telling me all the things that you've done to get you to this point where you are right now. What problem were you trying to solve? I think you answered that as well. Yes, you answered that as well, and you answered it so beautifully.
Thank you.
No, thank you. You're welcome. What was your life like before you started? We want to get into the meat of that, because they always say when most people do stuff given the things that they've been through, and part of them we're talking about journey to success. So maybe what part of your journey triggered you to
honestly, let's
get
deep and honest, right?
All right, get deep if you want to get deep.
I come from a Jamaican background.
Okay.
And the one thing in the West Indian culture is to push through, push past pain, push past grief. And so if you know, Jamaicans are notorious for working. Many, many jobs, right? We have 3 jobs, 10 jobs, but we work. And I think a part of our coping is to work beyond trauma. And so my brother drowned when I was 12, and I remember the family just grieving for a short amount of time, and then it was back to normal. But normal never became normal again because we never addressed the elephant in the room, the grief. And I remember for me being a 12-year-old, I didn't have any coping, so I started writing a lot, getting all of these thoughts and feelings out. Fast forward from 12 to 18, I figured out how to move or God showed me. Because I'm not getting taking credit for that.
Right.
But then when I was 18, I made choices that allowed me to now be a teenage mom. My senior year in high school, I'm on a track. I'm going to graduate. I'm in the National Honor Society. I'm co-captain of the cheerleading squad. I'm doing really well, and I got pregnant. Just being naive. And so I had extreme postpartum depression. And at 18, I woke up having not dealt with my mental health in Mount Sinai on their mental ward. And in that moment of getting treatment and realizing that I did the coping the Jamaican way. I worked and I stayed in school and I studied, but I lost a part of my mental health because I never addressed what was going on.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I came out of that, but in that moment after getting home, after 4 days of being in the psych ward, and having this little boy who's 4 months old looking at me for answers and provision, I said, one day I'm going to counsel. One day I'm going to counsel people and teach them what I didn't know. And what I learned here is that God always makes a way. And in the midst of my pain, I found purpose. So I remember being now a 19-year-old freshman in college and saying, I'm going to go into counseling. And I got my bachelor's in psychology. And I kept saying it, but I got married and I had kids. And it kind of got put on the back burner. But I was still counseling, so to speak, when I was a social service director, because it's my gift. It's my purpose. And so opportunity came. I went the route. Detours came. I stayed the course. And I guess the rest is history, or her story. But yeah, I went through things specific for me and my mental health that let me say to myself, I want to be for people what I didn't have.
Right.
Especially black and brown people, little girls and little boys that look like me, seniors that look like me. And so I decided to become a mental health provider.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know, also, God has a way of, he said his thoughts are not ours, vice versa. Now, in order to really feel a person's pain, you have to really walk in their shoes. So he allowed you to go through these things on your journey so you could be more empathetical and, you know, as opposed to being critical and why you this. If you go into that field, you cannot have those things aboard.
Not supposed to judge.
Yeah, you're not supposed to judge, because you will not be an effective doctor of the field that you're in. So it's good you expounded on that. Now, who's the first person that you ever worked with? Your first client?
My first coaching client I met at a Burger King drive-thru.
Look at that. Burger King. And
when I tell you her customer service was up to par, and I pulled up to that window and said, you have more than this ahead of you. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, your customer service. You could train people. And she said, I'm thinking about doing some stuff. I said, here's my information. And she became a coaching client, my first coaching client.
Coaching client.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that for me was amazing, because I'm a people person, and I spoke to her just complimenting her on how good she was at her job, but also planting the seed of there's so much more for you. So Burger King is the start, but I can't wait to see how far you go. And she was like, oh, I'd love to work with you. And that was my first client, and she's since gotten so deep in her ministry and what she does with her family and her boys and her husband. And so I know this is my purpose, me connecting with people on not just the bad things that they go through, but the great things that they're doing, whether it's grief, loss, or being really good at their job. So I take opportunity to just plant seeds that people might not get necessarily, but I just feel like sometimes if I feel it, I should say it. And she glowed once I said that, because she was like, you know, I'm thinking about leaving, but I'm not really sure. And so in working with me, she decided to stay for that period, but then she expanded in other things she was doing in her life.
Wonderful. So I love to hear stuff like that. It's success stories, you know.
Yeah.
And I was even thinking what you said earlier about, it was a member of your family who had drowned.
Yes, my brother.
And it took me back to about a month ago when you and I met again, Nadine, on a different hospice. We went to was it home, a funeral,
Yeah.
homegoing of a young man who drowned.
Yes.
Now see how you came full
connect the
circle, the
dots.
connection, you're connecting the dots together because, see, you had a feel, touchy-feely of that particular moment. And so
Yes.
you were there, because I honestly thought that you were like kinfolk to them, didn't even
Yes.
know that you were not even related to them. But see how God does?
Yes.
And that's why I
Absolutely.
looked at you and I'm like, wow, this girl is amazing.
Thank
She is
you.
amazing. You're
Being in the right
most
place
welcome
at the right time,
at the right
and
time.
allowing your purpose to take precedence. And because I love what I do, I never feel like I'm doing too much.
Right. It's just a part of
Yeah.
you. It becomes a part. It's like innate
Yeah,
thing.
and
you know,
people
that comes out.
appreciate it, right?
Yes.
I'm very courteous. I don't overstep. I just am able to kind of fit in where I belong. And so they needed me to show up in that capacity. And I kept saying, wow, 32 years later, God?
Kinfolk.
Yeah.
You adapt to stuff.
Yes.
You know, yeah. The environment forces you sometimes to do that. Well, that was
Absolutely.
all good. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for that. You're welcome. So we're going to get on to the hard part right now.
Okay.
What was your hardest season in business? Tell us, tell the audience. The hardest. If you haven't, you want to take a minute to think about it, you can do so as well.
I'm
Just to go-
thinking
to go
about
to
it,
the
and I
archives.
know what it is. So, about 3-4 months into starting my business in 2024, I was not getting paid. And so I had partnered with someone, and she might not have understood the process of like the billing and the credentialing and all of these other things. And so about 3 months in, I'm like, my bills, my bills, my bills. And I really considered maybe I got mismessaged. Maybe I got a misunderstanding. Maybe this is not really what God was telling me to do. And so it made me second guess for a small amount of time. And then I sat with myself and I prayed and I said, no, that's not what this is. And so I was in a coaching program with someone who was also running their own business, and I was able to get her mentorship. And once things got to be really sketchy, where this person I was working with said, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, so figure it out and figure out how you're going to make this work. I was able to go to this, someone who I now consider like a sister, and she said, I'm going to help you with your building. I'm going to help you with getting credentials, or not necessarily helping you with that, but helping you to make sure that you are paid until you're fully credentialed, until you're in a position to not worry about how you're going to keep your business going. And she did that for me up until I was ready and able to just be on
That's
my
wonderful.
own.
Yeah.
And she was godsend, because again, we had only known each other briefly. We had started connecting through the coaching program, but she could have easily said, oh, I'm not really sure, you know, but she, no hesitation, just said, you know what, I'm going to help you. And I was a little sketchy, because I'm just like, well, what if I get in the same position where she decides not to keep helping me, and then I'm back at square one? But I just felt like in my spirit, trust her. And we're still like close to this day. We were just talking about it Sunday, how she had no hesitation, and I knew I could trust her once things got into place. So that was difficult, because when you're doing what you know you're supposed to do, but you're not able to make ends meet, you start to doubt, not just yourself, but you start to doubt God. Like, all right now, you said if I do this and this, this would happen, but it's divine timing. I had to go through that to step out on faith and to understand that it's all going to work out. As long as I'm being obedient and listening and being exactly who I'm supposed to be, not pretending and not faking. And so when I went to her, like, this is what's going on, I was completely honest, and she said, I'm going to help you. And so it was a moment of being able to trust that God had told me exactly what I needed to know and hear, and then I had to put that trust and that faith with the work and the action that was required. Because I could have just said, you know what, I'm going back to nursing homes, I'm going back to work for somebody else, because this is too much. But I was like, no, like, this business is something I need to continue for all the other little girls and boys and the seniors and the adults that if they don't see me, they might never understand that they need to address their mental health. And so I kept going, and now I'm here, still doing it.
That's beautiful. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I heard here somewhere in between the conversation, the next question that I was going to ask you, was there ever a time when you wanted to quit? And of course, I was listening in the conversation. I kind of heard a little bit.
That was the time.
You responded that was the time.
Yep,
when you
small
really
amount of time, but it was there. And, you know, I could say, oh, I never wanted to quit. Nope, I'm going to be completely honest. In that moment when my bills weren't getting paid, yeah, I was considering like, okay, maybe I should get a part-time and just put the business on the side. You know, trying to figure out how to do it, how to figure out myself. But I was like, no, God told me that this is my business, and you're connected with this young lady. Reach out. Let her know what's going on. And immediately it was like, wow, a new solution to this problem. The solution was there. I had been working with her for months. And so, yeah.
I love your faith and your resilience, though. And you know
that resilience,
the resilience part of it, it plays an integral part, because had you not put the trust factor into play, and again it goes back. Sometimes we come full circle. The instinct part of it, you know, the instincts, the guideposts, they're there. And sometimes when we hit the deep, because in the deep, you know, there's a scripture that says, get into the deep and get ready for a haul. But the deep is a scary place to be, right?
Absolutely.
You know, there is what? Stingray fish, and we don't even know some of the creatures that's down in the deep. But if you trust the process, trust the process, and who is the process? What is the process? You may say it's this one or that one, but there's then an ultimate processor, which we all know who he is. So I'm glad that you listened.
Thank you.
Before we started, we had a little conversation. You see, you hear with these here is coming back into play, and you see with these. So had you not done that, you would not be where you are today. Again, I'm just going to keep saying, I am so proud of you, the resilience factor. Yeah.
Thank you. And the deep, Marjorie, right?
The deep.
The deep is a dark place sometimes.
Yes, it is.
So you can't see your way out. Sometimes you just got to trust that one foot in front of the next is going to bring you there. And if your steps are ordered, you're going to be okay. But you got to know your steps are ordered.
You know?
Right? You got to know that part.
You got to know that part. Some people don't know yet, you know? So it's our job when we're going on our journey to let them know the process, that they have to really trust the process as well. Absolutely. So what mistake taught you the most out of all the things, the pitfalls and the darks and all of these things that you've been through in this journey? What mistake taught you the most to get you to this where you are right now?
And I'm still learning this, right? Because I have to unlearn some things. But I'm a very trusting person. And the reason why I'm a trusting person is I'm pretty straightforward. What you see is what you get. I don't have time to lie at 51. And so for me, a lot of times I take that people can be trustworthy. And the mistake I made in the beginning is I trusted someone to do what they said they would do and to honor what they said they were going to honor. And what I found is I can trust the process. That's going to help me get from point A to B. I will always trust God because he's never failed me, lied to me, or anything. But with people, I have to allow them to earn that trust before I put my faith in them. And so that's the mistake that I had to learn, but I'm so glad that I learned it early in business, right? I learned it when I was making a couple thousand here and a couple thousand there. The bills weren't getting paid, but I made the money, but I wasn't getting paid the money. I would hate to learn that lesson at this point where my business is actually in the six-figure mark. I would hate to learn the lesson years down the line when I hit the first million, right? So now what I learned in the beginning is to allow people to show me who they are. And then I move accordingly. And so I would say that's the one mistake that I had to learn so that I can remember everyone is not you. You're honest, but that doesn't mean that they're going to give you the whole truth. Because people have ways of lying. They can omit things, they can tell you a part of things, they can just blatantly lie completely, or they cannot answer certain questions that you ask to not tell you the truth. And so I've learned that very, very well.
Well, you know what? You had to learn that at an early stage rather than a late stage because of the field that you're in.
Yes.
Because I don't know 100%, and I'm not professing to know, but I know in the mental field, people can manipulate, and just to get to the truth, they don't want us. They go around in circles and they keep going around and try to manipulate you, the caregiver, as well. And so if you're not careful, you will buy into it. So that's one of the keys, one of the lessons that you had to learn early.
Absolutely.
So you know how to do the impartation both ways.
Yes.
So,
yes.
you know, as long as you're on this path and listening, you listen.
There you go.
and you know what? Each day I'm seeing that, and I express it a lot when we're in, you know, places sometimes for the opportunity, when the opportunity arises for me to speak. This is one skill that's becoming obsolete. People don't listen no more. And because they don't listen, that's why they get into altercation. And listen, I am guilty as charged as well. So the listening skill is something that you always have to be on top of in your field.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want to expound a little bit
It's
more
so
about
good you said that, because I'm not only going to expound, I'm going to add a little bit. So
Add to it.
Think about, in therapy, I'm taught to actively listen, and there's a way to actively listen. Sometimes we listen, but we're so excited that we kind of over-talk before we're hearing, or we misinterpret. So when you actively listen, you're trying to hear to understand. And then, just to make sure, reiterate, are you saying this? Because I need to understand. And I think for me, I trusted the person because they were a professional. But the other lesson that I learned is a lot of people end up in mental health as professionals because of their own things that they went through. And if you don't deal with those things, you could do more harm than good.
That's true.
Had I not dealt with my brother's passing, had I not dealt with my postpartum, had I not dealt with the stuff I went through in my marriage, had I not dealt with my daughter passing away, had I not dealt with all of the stuff I went through, I would not be able to help any of my clients, because everything could be a trigger. And how do I help someone when every conversation becomes a trigger? So not only do I have to learn how to actively listen and keep reiterating that this is a lesson you have to keep touching up on, I have to continually make sure that I'm understanding what's being said. Because I could be actively listening and I can hear what you're saying, but my interpretation of what you're saying may not be accurate. So you always want to make sure, is what you're saying this? Let me make sure I get it, because again, you never want to lead with misunderstanding.
Right,
It
right,
causes
right.
so many other issues. And once I understood what that partner, that business partner was doing, I was hurt, but also I needed that hurt to learn not to do that again. If I touch the hot stove, I'm not going to touch it again. And so now I listen actively, not to just what people say, but like you said, we're going to see with this. We're going to hear with these. And I'm looking, and I'm seeing, and I'm hearing, but it's a deeper, deeper level because I'm paying attention now. I'm paying attention so that I don't have to make that mistake again. Because listen, fool me once, shame on me, but fool me twice.
Right.
And so I don't want to ever be the one that's actually fooling myself, because people show us, whether we want to admit it or not. So, yeah, actively listening.
Yeah, actively listening. And so is it safe to say that that season of your life required you to actively listen?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, positively.
Yes.
And the farther you go in this field, because now the world is trending, and some of the things that you perhaps dealt with, what is it, like 4 years ago you started the business?
Yes, I started 4 years ago.
Because the world is trending and the principalities and the powers out there, they're getting stronger by the second, I'm not going to say hour. I believe in this season, but correct me if I'm wrong, it's not just going to the medical books or the conferences and these things, right? You are going to have, and it makes sense, you're going to have a a relationship, really strong relationship with the giver of life, with the Father, with the Holy Spirit, because of how the times and the seasons have changed. So let me get it right, the actively listening. This next season, gonna have to definitely go beyond the medical books and conferences or mentors. I'm talking about earthly right now. What's your feel? How you feel about this?
I agree. And the reason why I agree is we cannot just take things at face value.
No, we can't.
Right? As you said, there are things going on in the spiritual world. So when we think about our mind, our mental health dictates how everything in our life goes. And it's spiritual. So I know all of this clinical knowledge, and I've studied, and I've gone to college, and I've gotten degrees, and I've been licensed. So that's this, the tangible thing.
Tangible.
Right? Oh, I'm an expert in my area. Trust and believe, because I have a spirit of excellence. But it's the things that we don't see. If our mind tells us that I need to hurt that person, right? My mind is saying that person has caused me wrong. I might have never met that person, but if my mind tells me that and I act on it, no one will know why. But I know, my mind told me. And so when I get someone in my space, I know that I'm there to clinically address them, medically address them, but I also know that what happens in the mind is spiritual.
It is spiritual.
Because we can't see it.
Right.
I could be sitting here with you right now, Marjorie, and my mind is telling me, before she leaves this building, push her into the wall. Paranoid. Marjorie looks like the person in my second grade class that did something. So, so you don't know where these things are coming from.
That's true.
And again, you can't see it. I could be sitting here having this interview smiling and talking, but inside I'm like, before she leaves this building, I have to hurt her. And so when I'm sitting with someone, I know I'm there to do my job, but I'm also there to remind them there's so many things going on around you, and if you don't get this right, all the other things won't matter. And so that's very spiritual for me. I'm a faith-based clinician.
That's what I wanted you to bring out, but I just didn't want to say it, but I wanted it to come from your own mouth. So that's why I kind of went around in circles a little bit, but thank you for catching on and just being alert and discerning.
We are very connected.
Yes, we are.
Yes, and we have been since Puerto Rico. So
yes,
again.
yes. I love it. And how are you enjoying it out there as you're watching this for the first time? You can be a part of BBA and do the same thing Miss Nadine is doing. BBA has so many things to offer. I think I wrote some of them down, some of the things that I'm not really adept at, but if you have a business, or perhaps you're planning to start one, why not start your journey with the Black Business Alliance? You can join our community and you can receive the email alerts and you'll know exactly what's going on. And I just wanted to encourage you, if that's in your line right now of thinking, why not visit our website at www.bbusinessalliance.org so you can learn more about all of these wonderful attributes that the BBA has to offer, including what we're doing right now. Once you become a member of the Black Business Alliance, you yourself will have an opportunity to do what Miss Nadine is doing. What is it going to cost you? Nothing when you become a member, but you have the opportunity to have your business be broadcasted on a worldwide basis. And the proprietors of this podcast, this wasn't a podcast because we said TV because it also goes on public access. They're two wonderful people who has a heart for humanity, and they really want to see business owners and beyond come up to par and grow to establish kingdom. So let's get back to the rest of the interview, and we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. So is there anything else that you wanted to tell us, Miss Nadine, before I go to the trick or questions?
Nothing specific, just the fact that there's so many people that will never address their mental health if someone that looks like them doesn't show up. And so for me, representation matters. I go into spaces where people look like me, and I present the fact to them that your mental health is important. And so because they see me looking like them, looking like their mom, looking like their grandma, looking like their cousin, looking like their girlfriend or whoever, they're trusting me. And so I take that I don't take it lightly, because people trust me to hear the voices that are going on up here, the thoughts. And I just wanted to say that representation matters. So my goal is to not just show up for me, but then to teach other people that look like me that if this is something you want to do, let me help you. Because I want to be for them, like I said, what I didn't have in that woman that I partnered with in the beginning. I want to be for them what my friend Danielle was to me, mentoring me and taking me under her wings. And so I love interns, I love students. I love the people that I'm assigned to that are my clients who also become students. Students of learning how to live the best life in this time and to live the abundant life that they see for themselves, but they just don't have the skill set to get there. So that's all I wanted to say.
And if I might add, it takes a true humanitarian to say that. Because a lot of people, when they get in their line of work, it's all about me and, you know, to show off, this is what I'm doing with a PhD here or whatever, you know, I'm just doing it. With no cause for concern that, how about hand the baton to this person? Or as you said earlier, and the saying goes something about giving them, teaching them the opportunity to fish, so they could survive for themselves.
Teaching them how to help themselves.
And how to help themselves. A lot of people don't think about that aspect of it. It's all about, especially, you know, pride is a thing that I'm telling you. When a lot of people get to this point in their careers,
their head gets really big.
Heads
they
get
can't,
really,
they
really
can't
big.
fit through a door.
So, we have to address these things because it's a part of mental health as well. So I have no qualm in asking you this question. Now, what advice would you give to someone just starting? And it's the same thing. You don't let it get to your head. Tell us.
I would definitely start with that. That's one of the things I would say is that it's not about us, the accolades, or how well we think we're doing. It's really about helping people. We're here to serve. And when you start to think that you are bigger than the person who gave you the skills and the mindset and the talents, you really start to go down the wrong path.
That's
because
true.
I'm part of a divine plan from my Creator. I can only go as far as I'm allowed to go. So when I start to think I'm bigger than the Creator, or I start to worship the blessing and not the blesser, that's where we start to fall fast to the wayside. So for me, I'm always going to tell someone, it's not about you looking good. It's about you doing good.
Right.
And
The doing part of it.
yes. So do what's right, and everything else comes into play for you. You know, when it says seek the kingdom first and everything else is added on, it's really true. Like, I've lived that. I'm not seeking rewards. I'm not seeking accolades. I'm not seeking all of these things. The reason why I want to get bigger is to make bigger impact, but not for me to be, because I'd like to actually be behind the scenes. That's why I like students.
Right.
That's why I like teaching. I don't want my clients to think that they need me. The point of being in treatment is to realize they have the skills they need because they're born with those things.
Right.
God gave us those things, but we fall because life starts to beat us up. So by the time you get to therapy, you feel like you're not worthy. And so that's the other thing I would tell people.
You don't
starting.
measure up, right?
You're worthy.
Yes.
If you have this talent and you have this vision of what you can do with it and who you can help, move forward.
Yes.
Get connected to people that can teach you. You never want to be the smartest person in the room. Get connected to people that can teach you something. Get connected to people that's going to help boost you and help propel you into the next season of your life. So 1, you're capable. 2, don't get big-headed. 3, learn from the mistakes. Mistakes are a part of the process.
Yes.
If I didn't make some of those mistakes, who knows where I would be. And so I always see mistakes as the opportunity to learn something or even unlearn something.
That's so true.
And so that's some advice I would give. And believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself the way God believes in us, right? Like, God told me how awesome I am. I'm sure he tells you the same thing. So we have that fearfully, wonderfully made mindset. But some people, they don't. So not only are you worthy, but you're capable.
Right.
Fully capable.
Fully. Not just capable.
Fully.
Fully capable.
So yeah, those are just some things. And again, every day is an opportunity to make a difference. And that's why we are here, to make a difference and to serve. And so if you have this thing you want to do and you think you can do it, you can. Because we didn't get the vision to not then bring it into fruition.
Right.
So all of these visions I've gotten, I'm seeing them. I'm seeing them come to life. And it's me just saying, okay, this looks crazy and it looks huge. How do I take the first step for this huge project? And I take that first one little step, Marjorie, I promise you.
The baby one.
The baby
giant
step.
Ones, yeah.
And then I see all these other things lined up and all these other people coming to literally help me. And it's God saying, listen, all you got to do is take the first step. That's it. I need to see that you're going to take the faith to the next level. I need to see you're going to be obedient. And so my obedience continues to pay off because my obedience is better than any sacrifice I can make on any given day. And so I've sacrificed and I will continue to sacrifice, but my obedience, yeah, that's it. So be obedient.
So
Listen.
So you and you came and you said you needed a word out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Let it be in that word is for me right now. We're not too big. We're not too strong or powerful or mighty to take small advice, you know. Because when you get to the point that this gets too big, then you know the next step of your life is going to be the fall.
Yes.
Pride come before the fall and the haughty spirit, you know, because you just said to if you are the most important or the most educated, then something's wrong with that picture. You always have to be open to learning new things, new ideologies. That's a good lesson for you new business owners out there to not only hear but to know it in your knower. Plenty of times when we start these businesses, we fall flat on our faces because of the same thing that we're talking about. And I know I'm one of them too.
Listen, these big heads, and think about it, we're top heavy. There's nowhere to go but to fall because you can't balance. Right? The head is so heavy that it's going to tip you over. I don't want to be big-headed. I like the size of my head the way it is. And so once I feel like it's kind of elevating, that's when I go to myself and say, all right, this is not you.
Beautiful.
This is not you. This is a spirit. This is something else. You don't want to get connected to that. So I pull myself back down before God has to.
Oh, yeah. This is wonderful. I'm just enjoying every moment. Too bad we have to.
Me too.
We wish we could do it all day, but we only have a few more questions in the essence of time. What do you wish you knew earlier, Nadine?
Honestly.
I have one more question after this, and then,
I wish I knew earlier that all I needed to take was the first step. Because I have this spirit of excellence, I always want to know the end result before I take the step, right? So I want to make sure that if I do A and B, it's going to get me to X, Y, and Z. And what I've found is the further I go in my business, the more I know it's already worked out. It's already worked out. If I've been shown this part of it for the beginning, I'm going to put in place those things that I need to do, that was instructed of me to do. Everything else is going to work itself out. And so because I was almost a perfectionist, like I'm a refined, I'm a, a reformed perfectionist. Like it has to be this way, it has to be that way, it has to be this, because I want to do it well. I want to make God proud. So I've changed from looking into being perfect into making progress. And I wish I knew when I started that I didn't need to know everything to move forward. I just need to know what God is saying I need to know and put in place what I have to put in place. Everything else works itself out. I promise now, knowing the end is written. That's how God writes our life and our story. The end is written first. So if he said start the business, and I'm showing you the business is going to be successful, all I got to do is be obedient and putting my steps in place, because a successful business is at the end, right? So if I start here, that is the end result. I don't need to know everything to get there, because I know God does. And so that's the one thing I wish I had known to be there. Because I get stuck sometimes, like, oh my gosh, this isn't in place, this isn't perfect, I'm not going to do it. And I just sit. And when you're sitting, you're wasting time.
Oh, yeah.
You're being stagnant.
You're being stagnant, yeah.
And so I'm no longer supporting a stagnant season, because I'm going to do it even if I'm afraid. I'm going to do it even if I make a mistake. I'm going to do it because God said I could do it. And once I know that, I'm unstoppable. There's nothing I can't do. Nothing.
Smooth sailing.
Yes, because I know it's already worked out. I just got to walk into that thing.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, I wish I'd known it
I
then.
don't have words right now. And it's not that you're hammering it. You're just doing it just with a smooth, gentle way of how you are just making it flow.
Yes, with courtesy.
Courtesy, yeah, courtesy. Yeah. I appreciate you and saying it so many times.
And so I'm definitely going to say that for me, that's most important, is for me to be obedient and to stay the course to help the people that I'm assigned to. And the people that I'm assigned to is not just my clients. I'm assigned to you.
You are assigned to me.
I'm assigned to the children I gave birth to.
Yes.
I'm assigned to my mother, who I help right now. So the assignment continues every single day. And I don't get to change how I show up. So when I'm tired, I rest. And because I know I'm being obedient, I sleep well at night. I'm not worrying about who I lied to, who I tried to step on to get ahead, who I hurt. And so for me, that is the most important thing, being able to have my conscience clear, because not only am I on assignment, but I'm serving people with compassion and truth and honesty. That, I'm okay with that. And so success for me is that.
Okay.
Success for me is knowing that not only am I doing what I'm supposed to and I'm making money and profiting, because you do want your business to make money, but in the midst of all of that, I'm still on assignment. So I can make money and honor God. There's no lose. It's a win-win. I never want to dishonor what I was set out to do. I never want to get to the point where the funds mean more to me than the faith.
And it takes a humble person to express it that way, in that sense. So again, you're right on point, and you spoke about the obedience, and I hear we have a little bit of time. So for someone who's listening right now and they feel like quitting, what would be the last thoughts you had to give to them? You could look right into the camera and speak to your audience, my dear.
Absolutely. If right now you feel like quitting, remember all of the things that were sent to make you quit. And the fact that you've gotten here says that you're not a quitter. So if you're thinking about quitting, remember, you survived all of those things, not to get to this point and to quit or to keep surviving. There's a thriving season ahead of you. And if you hold on just enough to get beyond this moment, I promise you, the winning season, the thriving season, and your season of abundance and prosperity is coming. So if you feel like quitting, remember, you've never quit before. Today is not the day to start. And you caught this podcast because you were meant to catch this podcast. It was meant for you to hear, you can't quit. It's not in you. Don't quit, because God did not quit on you, and your life only gets better from here. God bless you. I'm praying for you. I love you. And I know that it's only going to get better from today on, because you caught this podcast to be encouraged. So be encouraged, stay encouraged, and start praying for strength for the journey. There's so much more ahead of you.
You mind on that note, telling the people where they can find you, share your contact information?
Yes. You can reach me at www.accessgreenadine.com. And so that's www.accessgreenadine.com. And I'm not even going to give my phone number out. My business line is 860-900-9909. It's a blessed number. I promise when you call, you'll be blessed. You can see all the nines. 860-900-9909. And my email is accessgreenadine@gmail.com. Same spelling as the website. AccessGreenadine@gmail.com.
So having said all of that, Nadine, what's next for your business as we close out on this segment of Journey to Success? What's next for your business, Nadine?
So the business recently in June started our men's mental health initiative.
Beautiful.
And so everything for me is about purpose. And so my son went through a really bitter custody battle, and I realized that there's not a lot of spaces for fathers, black and brown fathers, to be supported and encouraged. And so I wanted to start the men's mental health process to help men that look like my son. He's 6'4", he looks like me, but he's my baby, and there was nowhere for him to go. And so I've gotten him connected with other community supports, but then I said, I'm going to start that. I'm going to start that so that men can come to Access Greenadine. And so for June, we did 4 weeks. Every week in June, we met at the library, and men were able to do things on fatherhood. They were able to talk about relationships and being strengthened and how to manage their funds. And so now that we've done June for 4 weeks, we're going to start every month in August.
Beautiful.
For the men to gather, and whether they're older men, middle-aged men, young men. I want the teenage men to come out too and talk about what's on their mind. How can they support each other to get into a community space and love each other and say, you know what, we're not in this alone. We're in this together. And so the first Wednesday of every month we'll be at the Hartford Public Library, downtown Hartford, and this coming week is August 5th is the Wednesday, and we're going to go over grief. And so they're going to pause to heal. And so if anyone is interested, that's what's going on. And of course, I always do my women's empowerment event, and so the next women's event will be in fall. It's going to be our annual Fall into Self-Love brunch. And so those are some of the newest things happening.
Is this on your website? Or
Yes.
On your website?
Yes.
So beautiful. So we just want to take time out to say thank you once again for coming with us today on this journey. And if you want to know more about the business aspects of what we do at BBA, I said earlier at the very get-go, follow us on this journey, www.bbusinessalliance.org, to hear more stories like Nadine's, and one day you could be the person sitting in Nadine's seat. And I'm not going to say you could. You will be the person sitting in Nadine's seat, telling us, sharing your story about your journey to success. We're signing off until the next time. This is Marjorie McAllister, and we hope you have enjoyed this broadcast. Until next time, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
And thank you so much for watching.